Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a PPMS report here for the week of May, the opening week of the 2023 racing season. It was supposed to be this past April 29th, but unfortunately Mother Nature had some other plans. So unfortunately our recap segment this week is going to be just a little bit different. We had every intention of racing on Saturday night, April the 29th, for the 45th season opener at Dirt's Monster Half Mile. Unfortunately, like I said, Mother Nature had some different plans. Heavy rains over the course of Friday night leading into the early stages of Saturday morning, plus a weird heavy mist and light rain caused the racetrack to be incapable of being run in time, and unfortunately that had to put an end to our season opener. So we reset the counter on the website on ppms.com, and we're going to try it again for this Saturday, May the 6th, for our opening night. So on the card, it'll be the Hubbs Auto and Truck Supply Rush Sprint Cars, presented by Born to Run Lubricants, as the headlining event. And then we will also have the Rush Late Models, the Rourke Automotive Rush Late Models, headlining the action event divisions with the Penn Ohio Pro Stocks, the Hobby Stocks, the Crawford Auto Repair Open 4 Cylinders, and the Always Safe Flagging and Traffic Control Young Guns. So as I said, that's the event details there. Those are the 6 divisions of racing on the card. Gates will open at 5 p.m., warm-ups at 6, with racing at 7 p.m. You can see all of our tickets and information on ppms.com, but general admission prices for this event will be $16 for adults, $15 for senior citizens. Students age 16 to 13 are $10. Children aged 12 to 6 are $5. Kids 5 and under are always free. So like I said, go ahead and visit ppms.com for more information regarding this upcoming event on Saturday night, May the 6th, our opening night of racing. So to join me here tonight to go over the preview of what's to come this upcoming Saturday, I have none other than Cleetus, Branden Lockwich, joining us here for Rapping on Racing on this segment. Cleetus, thanks for coming on, and I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, Tyler. It's crazy as we sit here and talk. My calendar says May, but it sure feels like December, 40 degrees and snow. Who would have ever thought, right?
Yeah. As of this recording, it's snowing out. Hard to believe that in a few days we're going to be opening the gates for the first time. So let's go ahead and roll into what is to come on Saturday, May the 6th. Let's go ahead and break down each division for this PPMS report preview of the upcoming event. So let's go ahead and start off with the title of the card. It'll be the Hubbs Auto and Truck Supply Rush Sprint Cars, presented by Born to Run Lubricants. They will grace Dirt's Monster Half Mile with another race to come. So this will be another race number 15 for the Rush Sprint Cars at Pittsburgh. And to look at the guy who's pretty much led the charge in most of them, Chad Rollman, with 7 career wins at Pittsburgh out of those 15 races, so almost a 50% win percentage. Cleetus, when you're looking at stats like that, it's pretty interesting to see who's going to come up through and try to make an impact on opening night, and to see who can knock the wily veteran off of the block, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. Chad Rollman, I remember him racing there many, many years ago, just showing my age in the early 90s. He would always come in for the Pittsburgh driving the super late. So he's definitely been around a while, and he's definitely a wheelman. I've seen him win many races. He's won races at Eldora. So it's just, when he comes to Pittsburgh, it's like he got the magic setup, so to speak, and he's very hard to beat. But, every year in the Rush Sprints, we got some new blood coming through, some fresh faces. So I'm sure there'll be some challengers for him.
Absolutely. You look at other people who have won at the Speedway, Zach Morrow with 4 career wins at Pittsburgh. And those are really the only 2 drivers, Rollman and Morrow, that have had multiple victories in the Rush Sprint Cars. The rest of the drivers, Jim and Johnny Mollick, no stranger to racing throughout the Western PA region and in different classes for that matter, as you talk about Rollman. He has one to his credit. Then you talk about a youngster in Blaze Myers, and then a quote-unquote graduate of the Rush Sprint Cars in Jeremy Weaver. So I expect some of these young crop of drivers like Brian Cressley, Brandon Shugart, Nolan Groves to really start challenging these dominant drivers that we've seen dominate the Rush Sprint Cars. Your Gail Ruth Juniors, your Johnny Mollix, Andy Priest, just to name a few of the drivers.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. And that in all the times that the Rush Sprints are at Pittsburgh, they always put on a phenomenal race. It's always competitive. You don't see one guy get way out ahead and just, get a huge lead on the field. So they always put on a good race. And I'm sure with like the track, with the rain we've been having, the track will probably have a little bit of bite in it, hopefully. So let's just hope everyone keeps it in the park Saturday and we don't see any flips. But it should be a tremendous race. It always usually is for the Rush Sprints.
Moving on to the Huffus Auto and Truck Supply Rush Late Model Series, the Rourke Automotive Rush Late Models. They are a weekly divisional racing division at Pittsburgh, the headline division of our action events. A lot of news coming out of this offseason. One of the things that I kind of take to note, though, is Philip Bubeck, the 2022 points champion, will be competing in that division. However, it doesn't seem like it's going to be on a full-time basis. So similar to what we saw in 2021 heading into 2022, the room for a new track champion is there, and it looks like that is going to be much the case again in 2023. So, Branden, you are a connoisseur of the Rush late models. You have a plethora of knowledge to offer. What are you looking at coming into this 2023 season, and what are you looking at coming into opening night?
Well, I think that the key thing that you said there is, that Phil is not going to run every week. So obviously that leaves the championship wide open. So thing about Pittsburgh is there's so many drivers there that could win on a given night. It kind of makes it hard to handicap, Tyler. It's they have a good field, but a lot of times, like you said, like last year with Ben Police not running every week and not Phil running every week, I feel like it's going to take us a couple weeks into the season to get a feel for who's going to be there every week before we really can, play or lay odds, so to speak, on who's going to win the championship. Well, I think one of the things I'm very interested to see is, we have some newcomers in the division this year with, Brian Hutchko moving up from the Penn Ohio Pro Stocks. We got Cody Catellis also moving up from the Penn Ohio Pro Stocks, and along with Frank McGill. So, and the thing about all three of them have good cars, so they're stepping into good equipment. Hutchko's raced there many, many years, same with Cody, his family. There's been a Catellis there, I think, every year since the track opened in 79. And then Frank McGill actually won the non-qualifiers race last year at the Pittsburgh at the Hendra Memorial. So I'm looking for big things from all three of these guys as they start out on their journey in the new division this year.
If you had to make a prediction, Branden, let's go ahead and ask, who do you see coming out swinging on opening night? Who's going to take home the victory?
Well, it's hard to bet against Ben Police because he's always fast every time he's there. But, Cole Petrail showed speed last year. And plus, all the normal runners there, the Dave Goebels, the Cassidy Kamrickers, the Mike Rest, the Gunn brothers, etc. Without being there and seeing, it's kind of hard to say. But I would say that, I wouldn't be shocked if, Ben Police took the win or Cole Petrail. But, I mean, on the right night, anyone can win out there. That's what's great about Pittsburgh. It's very rare do you see in that class, especially one driver dominate all year or one driver dominate a feature. So I'm sure it's going to be an exciting race. I'm definitely looking forward to it, and looking forward to see who's going to show up every week and go for this championship.
Moving on now to the PPMS Penn Ohio Pro Stocks, A.J. Poljak. He's been racing there for over 2 decades at this point, and finally gets his first points championship in 2022. That's got to be cool for you to see, as somebody, as you just mentioned, has been going to the racetrack for a long period of time, has seen AJ race for a long period of time, and to finally get that thing that he can hang his hat on, so to say, and to prove that he's a points champion at Pittsburgh, that had to have been pretty cool to see it from a fan perspective.
Yeah, definitely. As you mentioned, I've seen AJ run there. I've been going to the track basically since 1987. So, he's been there a long time, put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And, one cool thing about AJ is a lot of the other teams he helps as far as their motor program. So not only is he out there on the track competing with the fellow competitors in the class, but I know he assists a lot of them as well. Like I know, for example, Tanya Charlier, she got her motor redone by AJ Poljak this off season. So not only is he a good driver, but he's very good. He shows a lot of good sportsmanship helping out his fellow competitors. So anyone like that, it makes you feel good to see him rewarded with the championship, especially, as you said, he's been racing there for so long.
You look at some of the other drivers, it's another one of those divisions where a lot's up for grabs, because on a weekly basis, we see people popping in and popping out, moving in, moving out, and not running on a full-time consistent schedule. So it makes you wonder, like your guys like Dale Toohey, Chris Schneider, when they show up, that can be competitors pretty much immediately. Then you have your guys that do show up every week, like your Nick Kachubas, who's a 2-time points champion at the Speedway. It should be pretty interesting to see how things all pan out. But that first week, whenever we're dropping the green flag and inevitably the checkered flag on Saturday night, May the 6th, it's going to be interesting to see who puts himself on the front stretch as the winner for that night in the pro stock division.
All the competitors that we have out there always put on a good show, and you're exactly right. Interesting to see who will show up this first week and kind of put their stamp out there first, like, hey, I'm the guy to beat this year.
Moving on to the hobby stocks now. Speaking of McGill, Frank McGill, two-time and defending points champion in the hobby stock division. Unfortunately, though, will not be there to make it a three-peat because he has moved on to greener pastures, if you will, with the Rush late models. At least in his eyes, he seems to really be enjoying the Rush late models.
It'll be interesting to see, like with the hobby stock class. I mean, honestly, for being honest here, it's probably the best feature every week. I mean, you got a whole clan of Catellises in there. It seemed like for a while we had a whole clan of McGills. So, and the thing is, they, again, just like the pro stocks, these guys and gals, they race each other hard, but they race each other with respect, which I think is important. And, you know, as Jim Zufo always said when he first started announcing out there was only a handful of them. To see where the division has gone to now is just completely amazing. So it's just the tip of the cap to the track, and, you know, all these people that got into the division. You know, hell, if I was in the stands, I'd watch that and say, that looks like fun. That's probably the class I'd want to go into because it's, you know, economically feasible. You can go out there, have fun every Saturday, and you're not going to have to break the bank, so to speak.
Yeah, we were watching that division over the course of last season kind of start to dip off in numbers a little bit slowly but surely, and I think a lot of that comes down to expense. Things started kind of getting a little out of hand, not just in that division, but just in racing in general. Things started getting really expensive, and then when you needed stuff, your ability to get access to those parts became very limited as well. So it wasn't easy to rebuild an engine if you had to last season, where now you have the chance over the off season to help rebuild your program, get caught up on the things that you were lacking on the previous season, build new cars if you needed to. For example, Mark Corio, brand new rod for the 2023 season. So, and then now on top of that, not only are the people who are around have the ability to catch up and get things built back up, but now you've got a new crop of people coming into the division. One of them being a former track champion in the hobby stock division, and Steve Pirates, who will be back in the division this year after purchasing the equipment off of Frank McGill. So now you have a wily veteran coming back into the division. Gary Catellis wasn't supposed to run full time in the division this season, but he has since changed his mind. He's going to be partnered with his two younger sons, Jonathan and Logan. And you got, like I said, the drivers that are coming back, and the drivers, not to mention, that have just been there the whole time. You know, your Matt Bernard, who showed massive leaps and bound improvements in the 2022 season. So there is a very healthy mix of wily veterans, young competitors, and everybody in between who's going to help make that division something to watch in the 2023 season.
Yeah, I would just say to anyone that goes out to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Motor Speedway, I implore you, please stay to the end and watch the hobby stock race. You will not be disappointed, because every week, like I said, it's a real barn burner. And as you said, Tyler, we got a good mix of young and veterans. So it just makes for a good race. And honestly, sometimes I feel like they don't really get the respect they deserve, so to speak, as far as, you know, like maybe see them run a little earlier in the division or earlier in the night every now and then to get more eyes on the product. But definitely looking forward to it. And that's, you know, just like death and taxes, you can be sure that that's going to be a good feature every week at Pittsburgh.
So you're telling me there's three things guaranteed in life: death, taxes, and a good hobby stock race.
Yes.
Well, also another one that comes to mind is Garrett Opachin, showed a lot of improvement last season, and then Adam Faree as well was really hooked up on that fourth night of the mini series where he picked up the feature win. So we'll see if drivers like that, who have been around, that are reestablishing themselves, can't make a name for themselves in this season coming up in the point standings. So we'll just have to wait and see. It's going to be fun. You really can't pick a winner for the hobby stocks on opening night. There's just too many to go around. I mean, honestly, there's probably about 10 picks that are good picks.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That'd be one of them deals where you have to see the feature lineup first before you laid your money down on who's going to win.
Moving on now to the Crawford Auto Repair Open 4 Cylinders. Last year, it was the Craig and Susie Rudolph show. Those two were going at it in the point standings for quite some time until around the midseason point when Susie unfortunately had to drop off, and then Craig took over the reins and in the point standings and drove off to the sunset and became a points champion at Pittsburgh's Pennsylvania Motor Speedway. So Craig's going to look to defend possibly his points championship this year coming up. Not sure if his ride is available or ready for opening night, but eventually at some point it will be. So that leaves a wide open gap essentially for somebody to come in and become a points champion at Pittsburgh. Travis Corbin is a guy that definitely made a name for himself last season, picking up a few wins in that BJP Performance ride. Bill Tennant, April Tennant, and all the Tennants and Bubecks down there in West Virginia built some monstrous four-cylinder rides that are capable of winning anywhere in the United States, to be honest with you. So what are you looking at here, Branden, in terms of the four cylinders?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And you're exactly right. The racing in the four cylinders is good. We just would like to see a few more cars show up. And just looking at last year, that four-cylinder open invitational that John Gill put on was one of the best races all year. So that just goes to show, they can put on a good show at the track. So hopefully this year, maybe we can entice a few more to show up on a weekly basis.
I'm excited to see the drivers who make a name for themselves this upcoming season. I think there's a lot of opportunity and potential for that to happen. It's just going to be one of those things where we have to kind of wait and see. Maybe a Hemi Kinniston comes down from Oil City and decides to run there weekly. And we've seen a lot from him over the years that he is more than capable of winning a race at Pittsburgh. So I think it kind of goes back to those ones that show up every once in a while that are able to be a serious threat. That can be the ones that we need to watch out for this upcoming season.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. And, I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that they're going to have that race again this year, correct? With the four-cylinder invitational.
Yeah, that race is incredible. It is back on the schedule. It'll be on Saturday, September the 16th. So toward the end of the season, by then, a lot of the point standings should be pretty well decided at most speedways. So plenty of opportunity to make your way out if you have commitments at other racetracks and you want to come out and give us a try for a race or two. You definitely have the ability to do that. Moving on now to the Always Safe Flagging and Traffic Control Young Guns division. An exciting year for them last season where we had on average between 8 competitors, I'd say 8-9 competitors on a normal night. I think we had 10 total take points throughout the course of the season. One of them was, I think, Travis Clark, who moved up into the four-cylinder division by year's end. So it was fun to watch from the standpoint of where there were more female competitors in that division than male competitors, which is something that you don't see every day. But thrilled that that is the case at Pittsburgh because it's fun to watch. These young ladies are making a name for themselves and getting themselves started into racing. And it was fun to watch last year, especially with people like Emmy LeBoon, who certainly elevated herself to another level from the year past into what was last year, 2022. You could see the improvement in the driving style, and now that has come to fruition, we saw her move to the hobby stock for a couple of races for a very brief stint, and now into the pro stocks for this upcoming season. So the points champion from 2022 in LeBoon will not be in contention for the Young Gun division this year. So again, we've got an open door for who can step in as champion for 2023. I think the top of the list there is Zoe Knight, coming off of 3 straight wins throughout the course of the year and ultimately finishing second in the point standings. So I'm excited to see what she can do, what Gindelsberger can do. Gavin Kukalis has been continuously improving. Has got a couple second place finishes to his credit, and I think he can finally eclipse that second place and get that first place, parking on the front stretch and celebrate with his family. What are you looking for here in the Young Guns division, Cleetus? What do you think we got coming for us?
Well, let's not forget when we're talking about the ladies in the class, shout out to Sadie Snatchko, who won a race last year too. She got better as the year went on by leaps and bounds, which was awesome to see. But thing is, Tyler, the ladies in this class, they're not out there just riding around. They're on the gas, buddy, all the way around. So there were some good races last year. There also was a couple rough wrecks. I know there was a couple flips. But this all goes back to, the Miley family years ago had the foresight to, get the younger generation involved in racing, which I'm very much a proponent of. We need the younger generation to come up because you and I aren't going to be around forever. So we need someone to take our place when we're gone. So I think that's what this division is fulfilling. It's getting younger people interested in racing, and that's a good thing to see. You'll never hear me say that's a bad thing. So the fields were healthy. So hopefully this year we get this much of the same. The field will be healthy with a lot of competitors, and it's another one kind of like the four cylinders. They might not get their just do, so to speak, because where they run, but it's all usually very, very, very good racing.
Yeah, no, it was fun to watch last year. Absolutely, 100%. It was enjoyable because even the races that maybe the leader pulled away and took off running and there was no catching up, the position battles throughout the field were the ones that were fun to watch. And watching the development of these young drivers, I mean, you got to remember that the age division, for those who don't know, I guess, is between the ages of 13 and 19 years of age. So a lot of the competitors out there don't even have driver's licenses or learner's permits for that matter. So the first time that they're ever getting behind the wheel of a car is in a full blown race. So it's fun to see, and I can remember it clearly. Gavin Cleetus, he was barely able to keep up during pace laps. And now he's one of the front runners. He's one of the guys in the mid pack or up toward the front running and getting the job done in that division respectively. So and then I think we have a new driver coming up for sure. I think we got a couple actually, but one that comes to mind is A.J. McQuarrie in the out of the McGill Motorsports camp. So I think we're going to have more than just that. My memory is kind of not serving me very well right now, but I think we're going to have a fresh crop of talent coming back up through. That division is really blossoming into something beautiful, and I'm excited to see what 2023 has in store for it and who comes out on top. So I agree with you. Sadie Snatchko coming off of a couple, I think it was just one win last year. I think she's definitely going to have a couple more to her resume and possibly even on opening night.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. So, and the thing is, Tyler, like I said, these young guys and gals, they're on the gas. So I think if me and you somehow got a ride in, not I probably couldn't even fit in one, but if we raced against them, I think they would smoke us, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah. And speaking of not being able to fit, Gavin Cleetus's car. Like, I looked at that thing at the World of Wheel show back in January, and he is right up against that steering wheel. I think he's got like a 14-inch containment seat, and there is no chance. And I am saying, no, my right leg couldn't fit in that seat. So
Same.
I'm out, man. I'm out of sprint cars. I'm out of pretty much any division of race cars, maybe besides hobby stocks.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. So, but again, just it's good for the younger generation to get involved. So it's definitely, like I said, a feather in the cap of the Mileys to have the foresight to start this division. And it's now just the fruit of their labors is being shown by all these young kids that are getting involved in the sport. So it's good to see. Hopefully it'll just keep going like this for years and years to come to get more youngsters involved in racing.
All right, Branden, that is going to come to a conclusion on our preview of what's to come for the 2023 season, and most importantly, opening night on Saturday night, May the 6th at Pittsburgh's Pennsylvania Motor Speedway. Once again, gates open at 5, warm-ups at 6, racing at 7 p.m. For information, tickets, and more, you can visit ppms.com, and be sure to follow us on all of our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube by searching PA Motor Speedway. For Branden Lockwich, I'm Tyler Harris. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you at Dirt's Monster Half Mile. We'll see you there. Take care. Thanks.